and welcome to my Let's Play of Neptunia Reverse, the remaster of a remaster of a remaster of the original Neptunia. I'm going to be playing on original mode, which when you first start up Reverse, and it's exclusive to this PS5 remaster, there's Reverse and Arranged. Arranged is you start the game with every single character unlocked, and the game is rebalanced to be a little bit more forgiving, because the original game is kind of ridiculous with how its difficulties all over the place, whilst the original is based on the original settings. However, I'm going to specify right now that even though it's based on the original settings, they didn't rebalance it for one significant change Reverse made, which is modernize it to the rest of the series. The original version of Neptunia 1 was the only Neptunia to only have 3 playable main characters on field at one time. The second game onwards upped it to 4. So this specific remaster made it 4 across the board. They didn't change the balance of the game to justify that, so there are some parts of the game that I'll talk about being rather difficult that will come across easier when I record it because I will have a 4th character. But we've got the story to be introduced to the no longer canon version of Neptunia 1. I'll explain what that means in a bit.
CPU Whiteheart and her land of white serenity, Lowe. CPU Greenheart and her land of green pastures, Leanbox. CPU Purpleheart and her land of purple progress, Planetoon. Here, the CPUs fight endlessly in battle for rule over game industry. This battle is etched in history. This is the console war.
Taking this serious? You're all so stubborn. Why don't you all give up already?
Nonsense. We've been fighting for hundreds of years. Why quit now?
That's my line. I won't let any of you take the title of true goddess.
How much longer do we have to put up with this pointless fighting?
Well then, do us a favor and just die!
My, such raucous manners. I have matters of destiny to fulfill, unlike you.
Shut it! I can't stand the way you talk all high and mighty, Thunder Tits.
Breasts are symbolic of maturity and fertility, qualities of a goddess. With such logic, it can be said you are the least fitting.
The hell's that? All that crap talking out your butt. I'll kill you!
Got you! What?
Damn it! That was close.
It's your fault for idly babbling in the midst of battle!
Really, how much longer does this sterile battle have to continue?
Well then, why not get rid of one of you?
True. That could be the catalyst of change we've been searching for.
Not a bad idea.
What? What are you all talking about?
So who's the sad one to be ousted here?
I suggest Purpleheart, Neptune.
It would be difficult to get rid of her later, so I can agree to that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Who are you three talking to?
It's settled then. So sorry.
What? What are you all talking about?
Do us a favor and just die!
This first encounter is scripted for you to lose, so don't stress about it too much. You're not going to get your real tutorial of how things work here. You are just going to get beat down. Essentially, this works off the core combo system that's in every single Neptunia game, minus the 4th game's Director's Cut version V2R. If you're playing base V2, it does have this system. And I'll go into the details of what each attack does, the significance of SP attacks, EXEs and such, as and when they come up, because this fight is going to be over way too quickly to even get a chance to explain what anything means. Case in point, it's already over.
I'll finish this! Be gone!
What's that?
Now we're at the intro scene of Neptunia Reverse. It will give me an opportunity to explain what I meant when I said that this is no longer canon. The first Neptunia game is now based in a different dimension than when it originally launched over 10 years ago. What I mean by this is that you might have noticed if you watched Neptunia V2R's Let's Play, the islands weren't floating in V2R. They were in water, and they were like watery dungeons, and it was called Ultra Dimension. Whilst here, all the islands are floating, and the organisation of them is different than how they are in the later games. That's because the very first game is now based in Superdimension, an alternate dimension to the rest of the series. And if that sounds odd, why is the first one based in a dimension that's not the main one? This originally was going to be, but the first Neptunia game sold hideously, but they desperately wanted to give it another shot. So with the second game, they essentially rebooted it after one title by keeping the whole cast of characters, adding the little sisters, which are unlockable in this game. Starting with the first remaster this game got, you can unlock the little sisters, and I'll be explaining that as and when. But they didn't exist in this first game. It was just the main four goddesses, and they were goddesses that rarely touched their own land because they were in this heavenly plane that they fought in, which doesn't exist in the rebooted version of it that they made starting with the second game. The second game onwards is based in the main dimension. It's based in Ultra Dimension with the islanded, like in watered land, the rearranged circuit, and the slightly redesigned characters in terms of personality. You'll notice if you watch my V2R Let's Play, the characters will be slightly different personality-wise in this than how they are in the second game onwards. There was a lot of testing of how they felt would work and what wouldn't in this one that they shifted to execute better in later ones. That being said, we've got more cutscenes, so I'm going to have to shut up again. Always the way with Idea Factory early game.
I hope I don't step on your figures or anything. Well, not that something like that would be on the ground, right? But ew, who knows what I could step in? It could be leftovers. Do I just wait for more text boxes to pop up? This is way weird. Anyone out there? I'm going to start roaming, you know. Yikes! Did I just step on something? Ew, soft and mushy. What is it? Jeez. Whose message am I waiting for anyway?
I apologize for the delay. Have you been here long?
Hey, a voice. Who are you? Delay for what? Wait, did my soul go to heaven?
Please calm down. I did not intend to scare you there. I am Histoire, a tome. You fell from Celestia, and now I seek a favor from you.
Tome? I knew it. I am so dead. Wait, what do you mean, fell? To where? Hell? Ugh. I should have finished my game backlog and erased everything on my HDD.
Neptune? Please take a deep breath and calm yourself.
How can I calm myself when someone can look into my special HDD collections?
Neptune, you have not died. You have merely fallen unconscious.
Huh? Really? What a relief! Ms. Heavenly Voice, how do you know me? Are you my fan?
I am Histoire. I record the history of game industry with the goddesses.
Sure, don't answer me then.
I am sorry, but I was getting a bit tired of pointing out everything.
Great. Now I make others tired.
I don't have much time, so I will get to the point. Please, Neptune. Please lend me your powers.
Huh? What'd you say? There's a lot of noise on my side.
Please stop R4 and put end to the console war.
Shut up! Oh, shoot! Did I break something? Wait, where am I?
Oh, you're up! Good morning, Sleepyhead. Well, actually, good afternoon.
This isn't my room, is it? Is it yours? And why am I tucked snugly in?
Well, it was just last night. I saw a shooting star. That was you.
That was a short answer. Wait, that means I fell from the sky?
Yes! You were stuck into the ground like Soul Sword. Only, it was you.
Soul Sword? You mean soul... Wasn't it the Excalibur that was stuck?
Oh, that's right. I'm not sure why I keep mistaking it with Sword. Anywho, you were out cold, so I pulled you out and brought you here.
All by yourself? That's cool, thanks. You're a lot stronger than you look.
I go to nursing school. Moving bodies is part of training, so I'm fine. Come to think of it, I haven't introduced myself. My name is Kampa.
I'm Neptune. Thanks for saving me, Kampa. Hope we can be friends.
Nice to meet you, Neppy.
Neptuna, Nepper. It doesn't matter. You can call me anything.
Okay then. How about Nep? It's nice to meet you, Nep. Oh, I noticed you're all bruised. Allow me to take a real quick look.
Yeah, I am kind of scraped up, huh? Strange. I feel like I got sandbagged. But I'm only scratched, so it must be my imagination.
Okay, so let's first get those clothes off you.
Okay, taking my clothes off. Wait, why do I have to go nude? I don't need to make myself more powerful.
I can't bandage you with your clothes on. No need to be shy now.
Well, I get that, but...
Okay, here comes the wrap. This way, that way, loop it over.
Also worth mentioning, alongside the fourth game, the original is arguably the most fan-servicey Neptunia, where they were still trying to find their identity and work out what they wanted to do. This game has a lot of anime tropes in it that they kind of get more confident or start working around with the second game onwards, so brace yourself.
Please come back! Nep.
That was close. I was just an inch away from entering the light.
Oh, it wasn't that bad. I only made the wrap a wee bit tight.
Really? I was wrapped tighter than some huge fighting mummy.
So, why did Nep come from the sky and get stuck into the ground?
I don't know. I don't remember anything before coming here.
Nep, maybe you're suffering from amnesia.
Really? Huh. Well, I guess so.
I'd like to help. I don't have anything to cure amnesia.
Don't worry about it, Kampa. No need to get yourself down over it. But, you know what? I'm a bit hungry. Do you have any food I could eat?
Food? Well, I don't have much, but how about some pudding?
Pudding? What's a pudding?
You don't know what a pudding is?
Nope, never heard of it. Does it taste good?
Just a minute. Let me bring one.
So this yellow thing is a pudding? Whoa! It wiggles when you poke it.
Nep. Did you lose memory of food too?
I remember cake and stuff, so I guess I really don't know what it is. Well, here I go. The tantalizing sweetness melts away on my tongue. This is the best.
Really?
Really? This has got to have been made by the finest chef in the world. Where can I get more?
Well, I actually made it myself.
Amazing. Kampa, you are a genius.
Oh, stop teasing me, Nep. Wait a minute, let me get more.
Your homemade pudding was a blast, Kampa.
I'm happy you liked it. By the way, what are you gonna do now, Nep?
Well, I want to know what happened. So, I'll go back to where I was found.
Oh, then I can take you there, Nep.
And just like that, we get access to the hub world. Unlike the fourth game, in the first 3 Neptunia titles, you're instead just an icon where you click where you want to go. Additionally, you're going to see a slight cut somewhere on this world map, and also a slight cut when we enter our first dungeon. All the settings are reset every time you start a new game, so I went into the settings and changed everything to make it more suitable for me, so I just cut it out. But I've got some voiceover to do. Planetoon? The name sounds really familiar.
Sounds like your name, Nep Nep.
So, where are we going again? Should I bring something with me?
No need to worry, we're just heading to the park right outside the city.
Really, that's good. I really don't like carrying... Wait a sec.
Nep Nep, what are you doing rummaging through the garbage?
Look what I found, Compa. A sword. Well, it's made of wood, but hey, it's a sword.
I see that, but what are you gonna use that for, Nep Nep?
LARPing?
Okie dokie, Nep Nep.
If you choose a city on the world map,
And one of the more significant changes, I suppose, is that Help Me Histy, which is the tutorial system of the entire franchise. Well, another thing that's... This is just a different dimension, it's not canon. Histy isn't like a oracle or Planetoon. She's like a godlike voice instead. And so Teach Me Histy doesn't really work for this, so they called in Neptune's own voice actress to do it instead. Which works out, but it's something that is actually unique to Reverse, that they're voiced by her. In Rebirth and Rebirth Plus, which are the previous remasters, they weren't, you just read them. And that is something, you're still going to notice it even in Reverse. There is some jank in this. Despite having 3 remasters, Neptunia 1 is still, you know, Neptunia 1. It's still the very first one that came out on the PS3 10 years ago. It has got some jank in some places. It is clunky at best. It's still really good, or I wouldn't be covering it if I didn't enjoy it, because this was the one that kind of got me into it in the first place. But there are some problems, and I will point that out as and when it goes through. The first thing I want to bring mention to is that, unlike the 4th game, shares matter. You can see that in the top right where it says Planetoon, Last Station, Louis, and well, it's gone now, but Leanbox. All the shares there matter to the overall strength of each of the 4 unique goddesses, which it's not as big of a deal, but you are going to want to pay attention to it, and it will also affect your ending, so you extra need to pay attention to it. This world has monsters all over the place like any RPG, right?
Not really, they just popped out of nowhere over the past few years.
Oh, okay then let's go on and get some XP while we're at it.
Nep Nep, what's the matter? You seem excited.
Well, I'm the heroine, right? So I gotta beat up some monsters, I figured.
I guess so, but can you really fight?
I have my trusty swordwood, and skills with me, he'll be a piece of cake.
Okay, if you say so, well, I'll help too then. Let me get this out.
Compa, what's with that huge syringe? Wait, where'd that come from?
Oh, I use this to fight. Where it came from, well, that's a Compa secret.
My imagination of where it came from can't explain the how. And you do know how cliche it is carrying a huge weapon, right?
That's nitty-gritty info. Let's just beat the nasties and go on.
in dungeons, you can save your game.
In dungeons, well, in the first version of Neptunia 1 and 2, it was random encounters. You didn't have them on the field. Whilst starting with the 3rd game, and so it was brought into the first remaster of the first game, they made it so they're on the actual field themselves. Like, you can actually see the outline of them and you go and whack them. You press the attack button, which is X, to perform a symbol attack where you'll swing right in front of you. This is where you're going to see either a cut or transition, because it takes me a second to like reconfigure my settings, because I don't like how close the camera is. Ugh. Yay, my first monster! Hey Compa, I just need to beat him up, right?
Yes, the doggos are cute, but they are bad monsters, so we beat them up.
Okay then, let's get this battle tutorial over with. But now to talk about battle. Yes, battles are turn-based. You have, when you, the way it works is that you move your character around the field, and they have a little box in front of them showing where their attack focus is, like where their attack box is. Any enemy that's in that box when you hit attack will be hit. After your initial attack, your options will break into 3 paths. Rush, break, and power. Power is how you deal raw damage. It's your killing attack, essentially, that you're going for when you're trying to finish off the enemy, and it will always do the most damage of all of your attacks. However, only relying on that will very quickly find you undone, because as you can see here, we just triggered something called a guard break. doing that consistently and rather easily can only be done with break attacks. Every single thing in the game has guard points. When their guard points hit 0, you perform a guard break and their defense is crippled majorly, allowing your power attacks to take great effects. If you're wondering where rush attacks fit in, that will be when EXE skills come into play. EXE skills have to be built up before you can use them, and they're built up on hit counts. The bigger a hit count is on an attack, the quicker that bar will fill up. Rush attacks don't do much damage, but they have high hit counts on them. They will hit the opponent 3 or 4 times in a single use more often than not. So even though they do very little damage, they will rack up that EXE very quickly. Here the game's now talking about your field topics. There's essentially 3 buttons you need to worry about at any given time. Your symbol attack, which is the X button, which if you've played any JRPG where enemies on the field and you can attack, you know how it works. You hit them, you get to go first. If they hit you or catch you from behind, they will go first. If you just run directly into them, it will be neutral. Circle is jump, which is simple enough, but square is something that they kind of rework pretty much every game. Like, they change it every game because they always feel like they're trying to find a new pattern with it, and since the 4th game also changed it, they haven't really settled on it still to this day. But in this game, at least, it's treasure search. You tap square and a little field will appear around you for a second, and if there's an item in that range, it will then become visible and physical so you can pick it up.
Do you want your shots? We did it!
You get very little experience with this tutorial area. Something I will compliment though is that every time you pause, the artwork that you see next to the menu, you see there the 4 goddesses, the artwork are previous box arts from previous versions of this first game. But because break, power and rush all have their different uses, you need to be making your combo skill grid and essentially changing it as the game goes on. As you level up, you'll unlock more powerful skills on all 3 boards, but they will have higher costs for combo points. When you run out of combo points, you can no longer add anything. So right now, where we don't have an EXE skill, you're gonna see me kind of lean away from rush outright because it's kind of pointless right this second. So although I keep it on Compa because Compa's attack stat is terrible, she's a dedicated healer really and nothing else, I keep Compa well-rounded, but Neptune I completely lean in on the power and break stuff because, well, it's all that she can really be good for. Affecting your battle formation is something I would recommend getting on pretty soon. Just when you do it, no matter what, don't have your teammates too close, because if the enemy goes first, they might be able to get multiple of your team in one hit. Because they work off the same principles you do. Where when we start up an attack, so I'm stuttering a lot, it's been 3 weeks since I've done a proper Let's Play, so I'm just kind of stuttering over myself a little bit until I get back into the swing of it. But, in the same way we have our like damage radius box to hit enemies with, they have their own, and depending on what attack it is depends on the range of it. So if we're super close to one another, they might be able to get both of us in one go, which will only work against us to allow it to happen. So don't, you know, keep people spaced out. At least have 1 block gap. There are some super wide attacks that might catch them anyway, but you can handle them as an individual basis as and when. You're going to see me bring up the the config menu a couple times until I get comfortable with what I want it to be. I always prefer to have the minimap turned off, minimap rotation turned off, sorry, so I can see where I am on the compass point, and when I'm going back through for dungeon crawling for resource gathering, it's easier to just glance at the minimap and know which direction I'm going. Like, if I know the dungeon is very north focused anyway, I don't have to worry about looking the wrong way. I know which way is north at all times. And the same with every JRPG, but I always have to say it. The early dungeons of the game, I'll be showcasing every single encounter. But when we get a little later on, like once we're past like the one I consider like the tutorial-esque areas, anytime we encounter enemies that we've experienced before, or if nothing interesting happens in the fight, I will be skipping that fight. So for these first couple areas, like this starting forest, which get familiar with this, because Virtua Forest is an area that becomes like the starting dungeon of not just this game. I believe it's the first area of Sister Generation, which is Nep 2, and Victory, which is the 3rd game.
Do you want your
Even if it works a little different in Victory because of various reasons we'll get to if I ever cover that game. If you see any of the characters completely jolt for like no reason, when you're aiming on the spot, use the D-pad, but if you double tap, they will jolt to the next target. And so what you were seeing there was exactly that. Like, Nep was jolting to the next target, because where I was trying to make it precise so both the enemies were caught in it, I was pressing it and tapping it instead of holding it down. And so the tap was being registered as a double tap, so Nep was jolting. See, if you don't make it precise, sometimes you just miss. When you start up your attack string by, like, pressing the attack button, you can only do 3 more additional attacks, so you'll do 4 strikes in total. And that's your limit. However, at any point, you can cancel and end your turn then and there. The more attacks of those 4 you do, the more you use on something called wait points, which is like your waiting points, your waiting turn. It basically, that order of action in the top right, the more actions you do, the further along it you push yourself. As you see there, after that turn, Nep got pushed very far back, so her next turn isn't for a little while. The more actions you take, the further it gets pushed back. Later on, we'll get a skill that will allow us to double the amount of strikes we can do in a basic combo. But it balances itself out, because if you do it and follow through all the way through to a straight 8, it's gonna be, every enemy is gonna get 2 turns before that character gets to go again, on average. Assuming they don't take, like, a smaller action. As a tendency, buffs and healing usually cost less weight points than attacking actions, but every single skill in the game you can look through in your status and skill checks to find out how much weight points they cost, so you can build your strategy around that if you so choose. If you're finding yourself struggling, like you know what to do with a fight, but you're just struggling to survive because the enemy's getting more turns than you, altering your skills to something maybe slightly weaker, but something that allows you to go again sooner might end up being in your best interest. And it's something that won't necessarily be as significant in the second or third game, but it is significant to bring up a lot in this one, especially if you're not playing Reverse. So a lot of you, I imagine, will be playing Rebirth instead, which is the PSP and Steam version. And Rebirth, it's still based on the original settings, where you only could have a max party of 3 on the field at any time, whilst this allows 4. Which, the fact that it upped it to 4, as I mentioned at the start of the video, did affect the balance of this game and make it considerably easier. But I will talk more about that next time. So next time on Neptunia Reverse, we're going to get back to the crash site of Nep and try and see if we can find her memories. But until then, take care.